And welcome to the July membership meeting of the Cuyahoga County Progressive Caucus. My name is Steve Holecko. I'm the political director of the organization. And I just want to say at the outset that since we last met in June, our country has undergone some horrible changes for the worse. And I'm referring to, of course, the Supreme Court decision overturning Roe, the Supreme Court decision overturning EPA regulations, the Supreme Court decision that is going to actually expand gun rights, and really, really bad. They're going to take a case which might give the state legislatures sole power to regulate federal elections, meaning that they can gerrymander however they want and maybe even pick the electors instead of having the popular vote pick the electors. Some of you who were with us in 2017 probably remember how the organization really took up as a large part of its mission to resist the draconian measures of the Trump administration. It seems like we're in a similar situation now. So what I'm asking is that you stay tuned. We've got a committee together that's going to plan resistance events, and we'll let you know what we're going to do and what strategies we're going to take as soon as we figure them out. And those of you that are getting our emails, please watch for extra emails other than CCPC news and events on Thursday. For those of you who are not getting our emails, I'd like to invite you to join the Progressive Caucus. Membership is free, and you'll start getting our emails. And if you're interested in finding out, where we're headed, that would be a good thing. One of the things that we found from numerous Zoom meetings is not to put links in the chat. What we're going to do is we're going to send you an email tomorrow, which will have it will have a video of this event because some folks registered and they may not be able to make it. But it will also have a link to join the Progressive Caucus, a donate link. We are all volunteer funded and all volunteer staffed. If you could give us a little bit of money, that would be greatly appreciated. And some links to a few upcoming CCPC events. The first one is August 4th, and that is an activist memorial for our late great friend, Matt Coons, who passed away in June. Now, Matt's family is having a celebration of life on July 26th, and that's a private event. I know some of you have got an invitation to that. But this event on August 4th is strictly to celebrate Matt's activism, and it's open to the public. It'll be at the Lakewood Women's Pavilion from 6 to 8 p.m. And then our August membership meeting, we are partnering with our friends from ACLU of Ohio. And as it's part of the ACLU of Ohio listening tour. And what they're asking, and we're actually going to use this information ourselves, is some information about policy priorities that they should be setting. And there's going to be some open-ended questions that center on rights and civil liberties, and then some breakout rooms, and it's going to be mostly audience participation. I know, looking around the room, that it won't be too hard to come up with some topics on rights and civil liberties at this time. So we have 7, maybe 8 speakers. So let's get going as quickly as possible. The first person I want to introduce is running for a position called State Central Committee. Now, because we just got done with the party chair elections, what the Cuyahoga County Party Central Committee is. The State Central Committee is like that, but only it's for the entire state. It's kind of the governing body, like Central Committee and Executive Committee is for the Cuyahoga County Democratic Party. It's the governing body of the Ohio Democratic Party. So I'd like to introduce candidate for State Central Committee in District 23 and one of CCPC's original founders, Diane Morgan.
Thank you very much, Steve. I appreciate that introduction. Can you hear me okay?
Mhm.
All right, wonderful. It is great to see so many faces here that I haven't seen for quite a while. And I'm really honored to be here tonight. Let me just tell you, about 3 weeks ago, I think it was, I got an email with sample ballot, and I looked at it and I was like, oh, holy cow. There's only 2 females running for State Central Committee in the district because of the wonderful job they've done in gerrymandering in Ohio, even though we fought like crazy to get fair maps. So on this illegal map, I am in the district that is Cleveland, Lakewood, and Parma. I never really thought I'd have an opportunity to win a race like this, because usually there are people that are far more well known than I am. A lot of times you'll get elected officials who run and so on. And my jaw just dropped. I was like, I can do this. We can actually send a progressive to the state central committee. So, so I'm looking at, we've been doing texting, we're doing chasers. I started making phone calls last night. Actually talked to a neighbor of Mike Skindle's last night when I was making phone calls to Lakewood. And so for me, I'm looking at this as an opportunity to kind of, break into getting more progressives elected at this state level committee. And I'm really happy with the work that went into our forums with the party chair, and that Liz Walters has taken the reign of the party. I think she's doing a great job bringing in a lot of organizers and really getting the party on track. And so I look forward to an opportunity to serve on the committee with her. And the other thing is, I work with Our Revolution, and this past year, one of the things we did was we recruited and got elected hundreds of people to Central Committee across the state. We currently have 5 other people, or 5 of us, running for State Central Committee. So we have an opportunity to not just send me to the State Central Committee, but 4 other people are running as well. We might get someone in Cincinnati. We might get someone in the Columbus area. When I say might, it's their districts are not looking as hopeful as mine, but we're still putting the work in. And I'm not sure if anybody has any questions. I'd love to answer them. Let's see. Okay, I don't see any questions. I will say this: I am the only candidate that is a resident of Cleveland, which is the largest part of the district. It's like I said, it's Cleveland, Lakewood, and Parma. So I'm really hoping that we have a fair representation for this district as well. So obviously, I'm not a politician and don't talk a lot. Nickie, you were going to say something?
Nickie,
You have to unmute.
Well, I couldn't, I wasn't allowed. Okay. Diane, I'm very excited that you're running for Central Committee. Can you say a little bit about your stance on choice? Because that is it is now, and it's going to be such a big issue.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm appalled by the Supreme Court decision. One of the things that I did was I went to the march, or that they had recently over at the Free Stamp, and we're partnering with Planned Parenthood on actions, and I can't believe that in my lifetime we the rights that I had, my daughters have, are now all of a sudden being attacked. And it's not just that. it goes all the way down the line. You can see where they're threatening, to attack gay marriage and so on and so forth. And so one of the things that I really feel strongly about along with that is that we need to expand the Supreme Court. And there are some justices that need to be held accountable for, some perceived acts of perjury. I'm not going to make accusations, but there is a perception. So, we really need to do something about it and fight like hell. Thank you.
So Steve, could I just say, going forward, if you have a question, you either have to put it in the chat or you have to use the raise hand feature in Zoom. That's down in the controls. If you look at reactions, hit the up arrow, the raise your hand is in there. So.
All right, thank you, Diane. Next up is Cuyahoga County Councilwoman and Lieutenant Governor candidate Cheryl Stephens, who is going to talk about how she and Nan Whaley are going to get to Columbus.
So in December, when Nan convinced me to join her on what we thought was a narrow path to winning, I talked with the pundits and several high-profile elected officials like Sherrod Brown and his team. And I was convinced that there was a pathway to victory, but it was going to be narrow. Today, with the series of mistakes, in my opinion, that the Republican Party has made, they have disrespected education, they disrespected gun legislation, they have disrespected women in general, and with their wholehearted decision to pursue eliminating abortion and choice totally and making it illegal for even victims of crime, incest, rape, or women who have ectopic pregnancies or miscarriages to get full medical treatment, I believe they have paved their own path to a loss. And Nan and I are fighting like hell, as Diane said, to make sure that there is a solid victory for us. We need people are like, well, what can I do? I'm not wealthy. You have a vote. And what these folks have done is to disrespect our votes. They think that we will be like sheep, stay home, mind our own business, and allow 5 of them to vote for themselves and continue to lead us down a path that means poverty, ignorance, and no rights. Instead, I challenge you all to take your votes and turn them into 10 votes. Talk to 10 of your friends who say things like, those damn politicians don't care. Okay, Steve, you may only have 5 of those friends left because I know that you convince almost everybody to vote. But those last 5 remaining friends who still talk about those damn politicians, get them to understand how important voting for folks like Nan and I. Nan has been tested on this gun rights issue. She didn't think she could win because, after all, DeWine has been on the ballot for 40 years. He's well known. But he doesn't defend the people who have elected him. Our rights are diminished in every corner, and the quality of our lives are diminishing because of their lack of attention to who we are and what our constituents across this state need. So if you want to make a difference, use your vote, not only for the primary that's coming up. Early voting has started on August 2nd. You need to vote for the members of the legislature that are primaried. And on November 8th, and as soon as early voting starts for that, you need to vote for Nan Whaley and Cheryl Stephens. They care about making sure that we have proper gun rights in place, that pro-choice is a reality because we're going to put it on the ballot and let you make it part of our Constitution, that we make sure that education, quality education in Ohio continues to be important, that we make enough money by bringing in the right kinds of jobs and making sure that small businesses can grow, because after all, small businesses rarely leave the state where they were born. The folks who are entrepreneurial and small businesses always care about the state and the towns where they built their businesses more than elected officials who are chasing one big deal a year. So the reality is, if you want government that helps your expenses go down, your income increase, and puts elected officials in leadership positions to change things that care about what you need, not what some wealthy conglomerate needs, then you want to vote for people like Nan Whaley and Cheryl Stephens, where at the top of your ticket will be one of the first names you see. Remember to vote down the ticket, supporting people who support issues that affect our quality of life positively, and that you make sure that you and your friends get to the polls as soon as early voting starts and no later than November 8th in the fall, because if we don't turn this around, we will really be miserable this fall. Deb and Steve, thanks for giving me this opportunity to speak on behalf of our team. I think those of you who know us and have watched us understand that we will take the steps to make our quality of life improve in Ohio. Thank you again. Any questions right quick? No hands.
I
there's
see Eric
There's
Deemer.
Eric.
Thank you for thank you. I just have a quick. I'll don't worry, I'll be nice. On terms of you know, you're right about the extreme stuff the Republicans are doing. Is there much of an effort, or can you do more to actually tie them to it, particularly in regards to abortion? Because well, if you look, you'll find, you know, there's a disconnect, because the stuff that they're actually pushing is, you know, broadly incredibly unpopular, yet still, you know, only maybe 20-30% of people say they support, you know, the extreme anti-abortion measures that have been passed in Ohio and other places, yet, you know, 50%-ish still vote for Republicans. And I haven't seen a lot from your campaign, or certainly from national Republicans, to really say exactly what what has happened in Ohio.
We just commissioned our first polls, you know, that rarely do you get a poll back the same day you ask for it. So our first polls are coming back this week. Then we'll have specific statistical numbers, but let me tell you what anecdotally has happened since Roe v. Wade was overturned by the Supreme Court. Everywhere Nan and I go, and we split up so that we cover more territory in the state, we underestimate how many people are going to show up. Let me tell you what happened to me on Sunday, this past Sunday. I was asked to go to a pro-choice rally in Warren, Ohio. That's, you know, just around the corner from us. You go a little bit east, drive for just over an hour to the courthouse square in Warren. I figured there's going to be 100 people there, but you know, that's 100 voters. And if each person tells 10 people, that's almost 1,000 people. So staff got in the car, drove me, and I'm there. I get to the square, and there've got to be 600 people there. And here's why I know there had to be 600 people. After I spoke, a group of other women spoke, and Matt Kilroy, and I forget Vincent's last name, who's running for state rep in that district. We started to walk around the square, and the square was the sidewalk all around the square was completely covered. We had a full block of people lining back to back on that square. So it was like, are you sure that, and I leaned over and I said to the woman who told me it was almost 600, are you sure? And when we lined up, you could see that we covered from corner to corner, there were people everywhere. Here's the thing. If everywhere people are coming out now and they're following this philosophy that they've got to contact 5 to 10 people, they're reaching out to them, they're talking to them, they're showing up. If we keep this momentum up, November 8th, we will see a change in who leads government. You cannot give up on this. You've got to stay strong on this. The early national polls are saying over 60% of Ohioans do care and are pro-choice. And if that's the early poll, let's see what, after people have educated themselves about the draconian measures where you can't get get an abortion because you've miscarried, because they consider a D&C, which is a standard medical procedure when you've had an ectopic pregnancy or a miscarriage, to clean out your womb. They don't want to allow that either. Then they are going to be greatly disappointed. Not to mention, I've met a couple of OBGYNs who say that if this kind of thing is not overturned next year with a vote of the people, they will not be practicing gynecology in Ohio because they cannot give their patients the best care. Those kinds of statements will make a difference. And then you have prosecutors saying that they will not, in all the urban counties, saying they will not prosecute people if they try to do those Texas-like measures. Anyone who believes it's inappropriate for me to have had a DNC to clean my womb, that it's totally inappropriate, and they want to take me to court. So Eric, we believe that people are going to step up and make a difference this time. We cannot let them lull us into thinking it'll be just okay. Thanks for the question. Great question.
Got time for one more if we have one for Cheryl. You see anything in the chat, Deb?
Nothing in the chat, but Cheryl, if you could speak up just a bit, if people are having a hard time hearing Cheryl, you might want to try to turn your volume up on your computer.
I can.
You just have to speak up a little bit more, Cheryl.
I could turn my volume up. I had turned my volume about midway. Can you hear me better now?
Yep.
So if I could leave you with one thing, it is incredibly important to stay vigilant. Remember to encourage everyone you know to vote. Do not believe that we just need to live through this. We must make change happen. We need to vote down the ballot. We need to make sure that we get Senator Ryan, future Senator Ryan, elected. That we have got to pay attention to who represents us in our House district, our Senate district. That we have to pay attention to the offices across the state, the auditor, the treasurer, the attorney general, the secretary of state, and we must pay attention to who gets into the Supreme Court. The three women who are running, Jennifer Bruner for the senior justice, Jameson, and begins with a Z. Thank you, Nickie Antonio. We need to get those three folks elected. We must be diligent on who we vote for on this ballot. It's incredibly important to the quality of life we have. So vote, and vote well educated, to look at who you put into office so that we can make sure that our quality of life improves, not gets worse in Ohio.
Thank you, Cheryl, and good luck.
Thank you.
Next up, State Senator Nickie Antonio, who is running for re-election in Senate District 23.
Thanks, Steve. Hi, everyone. It's good to see you even virtually. Thanks for having me here tonight. I want to first start off by saying thank you for the endorsement. I very much appreciate it. Had it last time and it made a big difference. Diane, as she talked, Diane was just an uber volunteer, and as many of you on this call, it takes all of us to get these kinds of campaigns through the finish line, and I am always very appreciative of the CCPC for sure. What more can I say? I mean, I think Cheryl did a great job of talking about why it's so important, especially to get everyone on the ticket and to encourage friends and family and neighbors to vote. And she's absolutely right with, I know people are discouraged. We wanted fair districts. We voted for fair districts. More than 70% of Ohioans said, yes, we want fair districts. And then they went ahead and gerrymandered anyway. So what it means is we have to keep at it. I want you to know that there are folks working and talking right now, both on a citizens initiative in the future to readdress redistricting and do it the right way this time in Ohio. It's going to take some work and some folks working together to make that, to get a plan, but people are talking about that right now, as well as what Cheryl and Nan Whaley have talked about. There are folks right now organizing to make sure that when the time is right in our near future, we also have a citizens initiative to put into our state's constitution access to reproductive care, both abortion rights, and I can't even believe that we have to talk about this, but access to contraception. I think just saying those words out loud makes how extreme these Republicans are right now, that they would challenge our democratic ideals, the foundational beliefs that we all have in freedom, certainly freedom to make our own personal private decisions, and that suddenly the government is going to do that for us. And it's so important right now that, I want to work on good jobs and excellence in education and healthy and safe communities and making sure that there's equity and fairness for all. We can't begin to work on those kinds of things if we are living under authoritative rule where the General Assembly, a rigged General Assembly of a supermajority, would make all the decisions for us, including who we're voting for at the top of the ticket come the presidential election. So we have our work cut out for us, but I am the eternal optimist. I have been told my whole life that there were things I was trying to do I couldn't do, and I decided not to listen to them and to go ahead and pursue my dreams of trying to make the world better than I found it. I know that the people on this call are the defenders of democracy. I got to tell you, if ever you had a call for this work to continue, it is right now. And I know we say a lot that this is an important election, but it is the most important election. We do need to vote as if our lives depend on it, because actually they do, and our future depends on this election. So I'm looking forward to working with you. The district, as Diane pointed out, Senate District 23 in the future will be the communities that already have been in Senate 23, Lakewood, Parma Heights, and the west side of Cleveland. The change is that we will also now include downtown Tremont. We had a little bit of it, now we have all of it. We go along the lake to Collinwood, and then we go into the east side of Cleveland into some communities like Huff and Glenville. And I am very much, we're talking to folks every day in those communities. I'm very much looking forward to working with a lot of the city council people in Cleveland as we really work to support those communities and just advance democratic ideals everywhere. And so thanks again. Thanks for having the opportunity to address you all. I'll take a stab at answering any questions that you have. You guys all know where to find me. I have a website. As long as you spell my name, Nickieantonio, you can find me. And thanks again for just being here and the work that we have done, the work that we're going to continue to do. I am optimistic that we can really take this back and turn this around. Thanks.
So we have a question in the chat from Grant McKay. You also have some love from Grant McKay and Aaron Godfrey. You've got a fan base here. Do you have any thoughts on how the state Democratic Party can better fundraise enough to put up more of a fight for the governor race as well as the Supreme Court races, and how we can improve the state efforts for those areas from Cuyahoga County?
Well, fundraising works when you do it. you have to ask, and you have to do it all the time. I do a good share of fundraising because I'm also the chair for the campaign for the Senate Democratic Caucus. And I will just tell you that every day I'm making phone calls and I'm asking and reaching out. And we have a compelling argument. There is a good reason for folks to support us on all the way up and down the ticket, because having, I'm trying so hard to keep myself, my language in control. You know, a fascist state is not what anyone wants to see Ohio become. And so from our friends in labor to individual donors to all kinds of groups and organizations that that support freedom and democracy, there are folks contributing now like never before, but we have to ask and we have to do the work, but it is definitely possible.
Are there any more questions, Deb?
No.
I have one, Nickie.
Yeah.
And this question is based on numerous calls and emails that we've received since June 25th. How soon before we can start getting signatures on the constitutional amendment?
Yeah, that's a really good question. There is a working group, I will say right now, Michelle Lepore Hagan, myself, also Catherine Ingram in the House, and Jessica Miranda. So the four of us, House and Senate members, we introduced a constitutional amendment via our ability to do that as legislators through a resolution in both the House and the Senate, companion legislation. Honestly, we know that's not going to go anywhere in the legislature, but we're looking at language and we're talking to groups right now and trying to pull people together to be able to get some agreements on language and frankly, look at what the confines and the guardrails are right now, because as many of you may remember, you know, the Republicans made it harder even to put a citizens initiative on. They added a lot more requirements and a narrower degree of time and everything. So we got to get it right. But we're hoping that some signature gathering can happen absolutely before the November election. And again, it's while people are very enthusiastic and paying much attention right now. So we definitely want to strike while the iron's hot, but we want to make sure we're doing it the right way as well.
With just a quick follow-up, Nickie, Planned Parenthood, Pro-Choice Ohio, are they going to all be on board?
Yes.
With
Yeah, everybody's talking to each other. I mean, this is, you know, all in at the same time. Yeah, everyone's talking to each other about this. Yeah.
Anything else for Nickie? Okay, next up
Thank you.
is State Representative Kent Smith, who is hoping to join Nickie on the state Senate side of things. Ken is running in State Senate District 21.
Hi, everyone. Thanks very much, Steve. Thank you, Progressive Caucus. Glad to be with you tonight. So yeah, I have Democratic opposition, and my opposition is, let's just say, not good on choice. And I've got, this is, as you all know, this is a very interesting election calendar, and some of the Democratic constituent groups haven't actually weighed in yet on official endorsements. Now, obviously, you guys have, and I'm very appreciative of that, but Planned Parenthood still hasn't. They've endorsed at the top of the ticket, but not in the legislative races. And in my case, this would be a very telling endorsement. As some of you may know, I'm running against John Barnes. I will tell you that I've traded emails with Planned Parenthood, and I can put a link to the email in the chat. But I've always been endorsed by Planned Parenthood, and John Barnes has never been endorsed by Planned Parenthood. So, if this is an issue that's motivating you, I would politely ask you to engage with my campaign, especially if you live in the 21st district, which is essentially it's sort of 271 sort of is the informal boundary. 271 and about 10 miles into Cleveland are my border going from Garfield on the south end and Maple on the south end along the first ring suburbs to Euclid on the north. But I've got creeping around my laptop, I've got one of my Zoom cats, so we'll see if the hunter makes an appearance. I think the campaign is going well, albeit, some of our core constituent groups, again, are, if I'm Planned Parenthood or NARAL, I would be, maybe there's some campaigns where you can wait till the primary, but mine is not one of them. I got the Democratic Party endorsement this past weekend, got the Plain Dealer endorsement, AFL-CIO, Stonewall Democrats, Women's Caucus 2 nights ago. So, things are going well, but, it's a very peculiar election in terms of people are only going to show up for state house and state senate races. So, I would politely say, if you live in my district, obviously, please, give me your vote on August 2nd or before. But quite frankly, I would say, please just say good things. This is really going to be a word of mouth election, both those of us telling our friends that there is an election on August 2nd and helping them make some suggestions as to who to vote for. So happy to answer any questions you all might have. I actually found the email and I'll put that link in the chat if I can do that, just so you can see the exchange between me and the Planned Parenthood rep. It confirms that I've always been endorsed, and Mr. Barnes never has. So with that, happy to take any questions, but let me go into my computer and see if I can find that document.
Do you see anything in the chat, Deb? I'm not seeing hands up for Kent.
Nope, nothing in the chat.
Well, thank you, Kent, and good luck to your campaign. Next up is District 13 State Representative Mike Skindo, who is running for re-election and who has also been with CCPC right from the start in 2016.
Thanks, everybody. Steve and Deb, thanks for coordinating this and putting this on. I am State Representative Mike Skindo, representing the 13th House District. I'm actually this year serving my 20th year in the Ohio General Assembly. I had served 8 years in the Ohio House before, 8 years in the Ohio Senate, and now I am currently serving 4th year in my 2nd round in the Ohio House Representatives. During the course of my tenure in the Ohio General Assembly, I have historically been given the lowest rating by the American Conservative Union in the General Assembly, the lowest of any legislator in the General Assembly, and I'm usually classified as the radical left in the General Assembly by the American Conservative Union. In addition, I have historically held the lowest or one of the lowest ratings by the Ohio Chamber of Commerce, and essentially I have held that distinction because I refuse to constantly give big tax cuts to corporations and support those and their regulatory reforms, which basically puts in harm's way the health and safety of Ohioans and Ohio workers. I have been a strong supporter and primary sponsor for 20 years of the single payer universal healthcare plan in Ohio, which is Ohio's version of Medicare for all. At the national level, I've always been a supporter of Medicare for all. I have gotten very important pieces of legislation through, including an earned income tax credit, the first time establishing one here in Ohio. We're still working to make it refundable, but we actually got it established in law. In addition, I've gotten legislation to protect victims of domestic violence, through. I've gotten legislation to expand the state children's insurance program, which provides children in low-income families expanded healthcare access. And I'm proud of those records. I have been a progressive voice in my Democratic caucuses, both in the House and Senate, and many times have made convincing arguments trying to convince many of my members to vote in a progressive manner on particular pieces of legislation. In the General Assembly, I also was the first legislator to actually bring forward a renewable energy portfolio standard in the state of Ohio. Bob Hagan was in the Senate. I was in the House when we brought forward that as companion legislation. We were the first two to do that. That led into the development of the renewable energy standard here in Ohio under Ted Strickland. In addition, I voted against House Bill 6, repealing those standards and giving greater subsidies to nuclear and to dirty coal in Ohio. And I was the first person to introduce legislation to repeal House Bill 6 after it was passed. I am pleased that the CCPC has again endorsed me. It's been great as part of this organization and being part of many of its activist events over the years, and would be happy to answer any questions.
We don't have any questions, but you did get some love from Catherine Potojo. So.
Thank you.
Anything for Mike? Thank you, Mike. Our next guest is not an endorsed candidate, but we thought it would be good to have him on to say a few words. The new chair of the Cuyahoga County Democratic Party and CCPC member, Dave Brock.
Right. I must confess, I'm not sure those words would always, wasn't sure those words would ever be used together in the same sentence, but obviously I'm thrilled. And I've been working with the Progressive Caucus since 2016 now, which has been a real thrill. And we've been aligned on so many issues. And it's great to see some of the candidates who are not only here seeking to see and receiving the CCPC's endorsement, but also the CCDPs. So it was great to see Ken Smith deliver a really spectacular speech the other day that really struck on everything that we want to do, exactly everything we want to do both here in the county and statewide. And as Rep. Smith said, the enemy is not ourselves, the Democrats, it is the Republicans, and that's the focus we want to keep everything on. I just got off our first CCDP's first committee meeting, the field committee, which we're putting together so that we can really sort of formulate the policy we want to have, working with the ODP and the larger committees, but also so we can make sure that here in the county, candidates like Mike Skindell and Senator Antonio and Rep. Smith, and especially Chris Ronayne, are supported by us. So we plan to do things as transparently as possible, and I look forward to working with the CCPC, and quite frankly, without whose support I would not be chair. So I appreciate that Deb Klein still calls me nearly every day and keeps me on the phone for just as long. She doesn't care, but and so many other names from Susie and Eric and others who I've worked with. It's been great, and I know we're all especially sad that the day after we elected a new chair that we lost a great friend and great ally, and that was just heart-wrenching for so many of us. So I know we'll be spending more time. We'll obviously always keep him in our hearts and thoughts. So I just am grateful, and there's a lot of work to be done, and I can't wait to work with all the other electeds on this call, and everyone who wants to be involved in the county party. You always will have welcome to join us, and that's our goal.
Any questions for Dave?
Nothing yet.
So I really want to thank Dave for being here because he couldn't get on until sometime after 7 because he had a meeting. And don't you have to be somewhere at 7:30, Dave?
Yes, correct. Yeah, yeah.
And I haven't seen you in a couple of weeks, and maybe it's just the Zoom. It looks like you're starting to get a little gray there.
I think it's got to be the light, Steve. It's got to be the
Okay.
light. I don't know.
All right.
Yeah.
Or maybe maybe it's the new job. I don't know.
That could be- Right.
So now we have 2 questions. The first one came in the chat. It says it's from Grant McKay. First off, congrats, Mr. Brock, on the new position. Do you have any thoughts on the Cuyahoga Party being able to strengthen the state Dem Party?
Yeah, I mean, I have significant thoughts on that. That's the goal. The whole goal is that what we put in place this year will hopefully surely impact the elections of people like Nan Whaley, Tim Ryan, the 3 key Supreme Court justices that we want to elect, but also that we're building this so that next year, the municipal elections, and by 2024, I want the Cuyahoga County Democratic Party to have the same significant influence that it used to have on statewide races, right? Where you knew that if Cuyahoga County came in this big, you knew the Democrat was going to win the state. And that's what we want to try to do again. So that's the goal of this field committee and everything else we're going to be doing.
So first up, we've got Kimberly Mann, and then we have another question in the chat from Megan Alaba, and then Nina. Go ahead, Kim.
My question is there any way that the county can post the new maps that are in a format where we can actually see where the boundaries are, well, like what the streets are, where the boundaries are at? I have been trying to find the boundaries for my new districts, and I'm supposed to be a precinct leader. I don't even know where my precinct boundaries are now. I know it's changed. I'm in a new ward, but I don't know what my district is.
That's a great point. And I had lunch with Sean Brennan the other day, and he's pretty sure he knows where it is, but where his new district is. But yeah, it is crazy for all of us. And this is the goal that, and Senator Antonio has spoken incredibly well over the past few months on this. Republicans meant to do this. This was not intentional. The whole goal was to be disruptive because that hurts the Democrats. It really hurts everybody, and they don't care about people. So that's why they design maps like this intentionally. And you're right, they are very difficult. I've been on my phone scrolling and being like, wait, is Sean Brennan have 2? Does he have my street in Ward 16 or not? Yeah. And I did the call I just got off. I know 2 great map guys. They're brothers, the Ryan brothers from West Park. I will email them tonight. That's a great question, Kimberly. I'll email them tonight.
So on the chat from Megan Alaba, what's your first order of business?
Well, the field program is the first order of business, and field doesn't just mean, of course, canvassing. It means everything else involving postcards, texting, emails, the whole program, and being integrated with this ODP that's doing that, as well as developing our sort of own program here in the county for our state house candidates and local candidates. So that's it. Field has to be number 1.
Go ahead, Nina.
Am I unmuted? Can you hear me?
Yes, we got you.
Steve, have you appointed any other vice presidents? And if you have, what are their portfolios?
Yes, I have, and I'm hoping to officially announce them next week. Yeah, we've several, 2, none of them have been released publicly, but 2 field vice chairs, 1 east and 1 west. So I don't like those definitions. And then vice chair for environmental justice, vice chair for precinct committee outreach, vice chair for labor. That's a woman who's the head of the SEIU 1. So yeah, we have a number of great people. There's only 1 or 2 more slots that I want to fill, but I'm meeting individually, one-on-one, in person with everybody. So, you have to have a feel. Just 2 days ago, a woman is going to be, she's from Cleveland's Ward 4. She's going to be the vice chair for youth engagement. So yeah, we're almost done with that. There's going to be about 10 or 12, and they have to be male, female, equal numbers.
No other questions, Steve?
Thank you, Dave, and good luck.
Thank
Our
you.
next
Thank you.
guest is a candidate for Ohio House District 20 and a good friend of ours in the activist community. Please welcome Mike Seals.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Hello, everyone. As Steve says, my name is Mike Seals, and I am a candidate for House Rep, State Rep in House District 20. As everyone stated, this map situation is a little sticky, but it's House District 20, which is basically my ward. I live in Cleveland, Ward 7, and it's sort of like thrown into House District 10. Many of you know me already. I'm lifelong Democrat, very politically active in my community. I serve as a two-time elected precinct committee person, two-time elected executive precinct committee person. I'm also president of the Ward 7 Democratic Ward Club. I've served as deputy ward leader in Cleveland Ward 7. I have a background in organized labor. I've worked with SEIU, the Service Employees International Union, for a number of years as an administrative organizer, a community organizer, and a political field coordinator. I've worked on the front lines of such campaigns as Senate Bill 5, where they were trying to take away the rights for public workers to bargain, fight for a fair economy, where we challenged the large corporations like First Energy, GE, Verizon, who we consider poor corporate citizens because they don't pay their fair share of taxes. I also fought on the front lines of Fight for 15, where we wanted to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. And that was in 2015. And in 2015, we crunched the numbers and we found that the minimum wage has not kept up with the rate of inflation in over 50 years. If it had, it would have been like $22 an hour. So that is something that I'm still passionate about, that I'm like a dog on the bone with that one. Although our minimum wage in the state of Ohio has risen since then, it's still below poverty rate. I'm running because, hey, as many people before me has stated, the government in the state of Ohio has actually been taken from the people. See, it's hard to say that it's we the people, government of the people, and by the people anymore. What we can say is it's government of, by, and for a select few who are mismanaging our government and advocating against the will of the people. And nowhere is that more evident than these gerrymandered maps that we are running under. Many of you, like I say, know me. I recognize quite a few faces on the line. You know that I am a fighter for the cause, and what I tell all of what I tell everybody is that I won't make any campaign promises that I may or may not can keep. I'm not a career politician, or I'm not a politician as of yet. But what I will say is that when I get to Columbus, you will have a state representative in House District 20 that will fight like hell for the betterment of the district. And I'm grateful for my experiences on the front lines of those civil and human rights campaigns that I just named to you guys, because it prepared me for what's going on in the State House. The First Energies and the lobbyists, I'm ready for them because I know how they operate, you know. And so, hey, I'm ready for the job, and I just need to get there. And I'm grateful to the CCPC, who I've worked with for a number of years, who was right there on the front line with me on several campaigns. We fought on the repeal of the Q deal together because we all thought that public dollars should be spent on the people and not given to a billionaire to fix up a sports arena. And I continue that sentiment. You know, my whole campaign is about people. And I guess I'll land the plane there, because I could go on and on about the issues that I have with government, and I want to be part of the change, and that's why I'm running, basically.
Thank you, Mike. Any questions? I don't see hands up.
Yeah, we do. Catherine Potagil said, thank you, Mike. So you got love from Catherine.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I know you love me too, Deb.
Yeah.
Hey, Steve loves you too, Mike.
Yeah.
Steve, and I love all you guys because, hey, man, we fought some good battles together, and the fight never ends. And
I know.
I still have strength in me, and as long as I have strength, I'll continue to fight. And I appreciate you guys, endorsement, and hey, you know where I stand.
Okay, anything else for Mike? Thank you, Mike. Now, Chris Ronayne, we've endorsed for Cuyahoga County Executive, was scheduled to be with us, and he asked to postpone until August because some crucial things came up. So Chris will be with us in our August meeting. And, Chris obviously doesn't have an August 2nd primary, so that'll be okay. There in our newsletter tomorrow, there's postcard pickup for Chris Ronayne's campaign, and there's East Side location and then there's a West Side location. So if you got some time to write postcards for Chris, that would be great. To any of our other endorsed candidates that are still, here with us, if you guys have events you want me to get out in our newsletter, or maybe we can do a separate email, please let us know, and we'll get them out. I would like to say thank you to all of our candidates who took time out of their busy schedules to be here tonight, and to the audience. And we will see you soon. Take care.